I honestly don't know how I missed this. Hey guys, this is Jules with True Crime Reactions. Disclaimer, everything stated in this video is my opinion and my opinion only. And just like everything else in these cases we discuss here on this channel, everything is alleged. Pizza or no pizza? That has been the question for like 2 years now when it comes to Xana and Ethan. There has been a huge discrepancy, a huge conversation around it. And it's not just because we need to tighten up the timeline, because there's so much missing information, especially when it comes to Ethan and Xana. But because we're also being told at the exact same time that all of this crazy crap was happening and the intruder was getting closer to the house and everything was about to go down, there was also a DoorDash that got delivered right around 4 o'clock in the morning, which is like go time, according to the PCA. The sketchiness of the secrecy of who the DoorDasher was, what was actually ordered, if Xana actually ordered it, or if she was just the one that received it, like actually like got it handed to her at the door. The way that law enforcement words things is always extremely not truthful. They can put a bunch of words together however they see that they fit together, and it still not actually be honest or truthful or factual. All we've had when it comes to DoorDash is a bunch of crusty, rusty pictures come out of a Starbucks cup that looks like it's been sitting there for like a week next to a Jack in the Box order that has Xana's name on it. But these are mainstream photos. And we've also seen that the people that were inside doing the investigation in the house move stuff around too, because there's previous pictures of this Jack in the Box bag on the table, and then there's pictures of the Jack in the Box bag by the sink next to the nasty old Starbucks cup. So I never really thought ever that Jack in the Box had anything to do with whatever was going on, because that looked like old trash, not something that was just delivered within minutes of more than half the house no longer being alive. Now, the controversy came from conversations that Xana's family had online. When the crime first happened, Xana's family actually did interviews over in Arizona because that's where like the family's actually from. And Jeff mentions how Xana told him that her and Ethan were home at midnight, that they were watching movies and they were at home. Now, a lot of people were wondering if she just said that to Jeff to make him not like worry about whatever was going on or wherever she was because it was a Saturday night or whatever. But we also know what we heard about what apparently went down at Sigma Chi between Ethan and some of the other frat bros. The 4chan posts are extremely interesting and very detailed. It's kind of something you can't really ignore. That and a few other things that piece together beautifully, you really just can't ignore it at all. And honestly, this makes the situation sound pretty severe.
That's what he told me personally, was that he spoke with her and that, they were at the party and that there was that altercation. She didn't want him to worry, and he was ready to get in his car and drive over there because he was in Pullman and he was getting ready to drive over to check on Xana, but Jasmine, she was like, no, Dad, you've been drinking, don't drive.
Why would Jeff have had a reaction of, I need to get in my car and go check on my kid right now, after Xana told them about a confrontation that happened at Sigma Chi? Xana's an adult. Ethan was an adult. Okay? They're adults living by themselves and living together, which we'll get to that in a minute. But Jasmine had to stop Jeff from getting in the car and going over to King Road to check on Xana. That means what? That somebody threatened his daughter's life? Because you wouldn't go over there if it was just a fight between Ethan and some frat brothers. You wouldn't be wanting to run over there to protect your daughter's boyfriend from his friends and him arguing. You're wanting to get into your vehicle to go protect your daughter because your daughter's telling you something that makes you worry. I wish we knew what that was. But the pizza controversy has been around just as long as the questions about the DoorDash has. There were pizza boxes, and from what I was told, from everything I understood, the pizza boxes that were at the scene were from a few days later, a day or two maybe later, because a group of students from the university bought the investigators pizza, or bought pizza to whoever was down there at King Road working. That's the story that I was told. Plus, eating pizza at midnight and then the DoorDash, it didn't really add up. You get pizza and then 3 hours later you're ordering DoorDash. I mean, I know people can be hungry and college kids can eat a lot. College adults can eat a lot of food. But that seems like that just doesn't seem right. I was looking for a clip for a completely different subject that we're going to get to at the end of this video because it all comes full circle and has to do with Ethan and Xana. But I went to go look for another clip and ended up running across one of Conspiracy's old videos where she was going over the Venmo transactions. Now, she posted this on November the 20th, but I have no reason to believe that Conspiracy is putting false information out here. She's one of the few on YouTube I actually trust. She brings receipts for literally every subject that she talks about. So let's go through these. Because as you can see when I start playing this, where it says 8 days, when she opens these up, you're going to see that the ones that say 8 days at the time of her recording this, that's November the 12th. And as you're going to see as she goes through these, there were several different exchanges. And there's one very, 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 very specific one at the end. So as you can see, Ethan sent money to Kaylee twice. These are within like a few minutes of each other. I have these on the timeline, the very crazy long timeline that I'm trying to finalize. I'm trying to get intricate things like this between the victims. And this is important because they were sending money to each other. If it mattered, I don't know. But it's part of the way that the final 24 hours played out. So she got money from Ethan twice. And one was like 1 something in the afternoon. And then one was like maybe 10 or 20 minutes later. Yeah, so this one was at 1:59 p.m. on the 12th. And then again at 2:10, like 10 minutes later. And see how it just says like, yeah, or yeah, or whatever. I almost feel like maybe he didn't send her enough money. And so he had to like resend her the remaining portion. Maybe she was like, bro, you owe me like $3 more. What are you doing? And he's like, yeah. That's kind of like the vibe I get from that. There was also this one between Ethan and Jack K. Lots of people talked about it, but that's not what I'm looking at. This one is Xana's. Do you see how it also says 8 day right here? And do you notice the company name right here? Domino's. Domino's. So, 8 day, meaning the 12th. Not the 13th. So not after midnight. Just before midnight. To be 8 day. At the time that Conspiracy is recording this. They ordered Domino's before midnight to King Road. The conversation that Jeff and Cara had between each other, it happened and it was accurate. Just because we didn't hear Jeff say it doesn't mean that it wasn't true. And what other proof do we need? Ethan is paying Xana for Domino's on the 12th. She apparently told her dad her and her boyfriend were at home eating pizza and watching movies. And for those of you who don't know, I have had personal contact with Cara. It was some time ago, but I actually did a video about how I felt like it was really unfair the way that she was treated because she would go on Facebook and ask questions. It doesn't matter how bad the history was. It doesn't matter any of the things. She was a mother asking questions about what happened to her kid. And instead of the way that the Goncalveses were welcomed and basically coddled whatever they got on Facebook, the same people that would basically covet the Goncalveses would treat Cara like trash. Tell her she really needed to stop asking questions. She just needs to leave it up to the trial. But the Goncalveses come out here spewing stuff and people throw money at them. It was extremely unfair. So I made a video about how freaking unfair I thought it was. And it got the attention of some other creators. And they reached out to Cara and asked Cara if she wanted to do an interview. Because I'd already voiced support for Cara, I was asked to join in on the interview. And so I asked her a few questions. And it's on a channel that shall not be named. But Heather has the perfect clip from that interview. So I'm just going to go ahead and put it here because we talk about the pizza. There is an interview with Jeff, Xana's father, where he says that he had spoken to Xana around midnight and that her and Ethan were already home.
That's what he told me personally, was that he spoke with her and that, they were at the party and that there was that altercation and, she was fine. She was at home. She was fine. I think maybe she told her dad that, because she didn't want him to worry and he was ready to get in his car and drive over there because he was in Pullman and he was getting ready to drive over to check on Xana, but Jasmine, she was like, no, Dad, you've been drinking, don't drive. So I don't know if she ordered food at midnight. I don't know anything about that, but I do know that there was the fight. It's my understanding that they were eating pizza at home. So that's that's a little bit weird to me too, that there was a DoorDash at 4 a.m.
That's something that I was thinking, but I couldn't find anywhere where he mentioned that. And he might have never mentioned it like anywhere in the public. You know, that might have just been conversations that you guys had between the two of you. Just like Cara said. Now this next part makes all of this come full circle. It really does make all of it come full circle. So when it comes to the storyline, we've been being told this entire time that Ethan was just visiting Xana, that he did not live at King Road. It's in the PCA that he is not a resident of King Road. And he might not have officially been a resident of King Road. But why are we hearing stuff like this?
Last thing I remember with Ethan is him and I alone in my room. And he expressed how excited he was to move back into the house in a little over a month. He told me how much he missed living with us boys.
She had a life. She got to see what it was to have a boyfriend to live with.
That's somebody from Ethan's side saying that he was excited to move back into the frat house, and someone from Xana's side, her father, exclaiming about how he was glad that she got to know what it was like to live with her boyfriend. Was Ethan actually living at King Road? Because he got kicked out of the frat house. There's stories about his grades not being very good. Grades aren't going to cause all this, but something else inside that frat house damn sure could have. Now, regardless of if he was actually temporarily living there with Xana or if he was just spending the night, the pizza story probably would have happened anyway. But we don't really know the true details about what went down at Sigma Chi. We also don't know if they left the house again after midnight, because there is a person that has claimed that Ethan messaged her son around 2 o'clock in the morning and they were not home. But everything when it comes to the party and King Road is within walking distance. So it's possible that there was an altercation. They walked back to King Road, ordered pizza, chilled out. Jack Katovich is in there somewhere at 20 minutes before midnight per Conspiracy's Venmo transaction video, which again will be down in the description box for those of you who have not seen that. So was Jack K also at King Road? Or was that like right before they took off? Because we haven't seen any camera footage. We've seen none. And the way that they are describing it, I'm telling you now, it's not the same car. The car that they are claiming is smack dab in the middle between Moscow and Idaho. Per the defense, that car at the cannabis shop is not Bryan's car. So if they're not following the right car from Pullman to Moscow, then how the hell am I supposed to believe that the right car is being followed inside and it belongs to Bryan? You can't tell me that they've actually been able to connect that, because that literal spot in between the two states, it's not Bryan's car. I just don't know how I missed this. But I also don't know how it wasn't brought up in conversation over all of this time. Because I've had text message conversations, phone call conversations, email conversations, conversations about this on Twitter, on Reddit, in the comments here, on videos, on my videos, on other videos, on people's community posts. No one has ever mentioned Ethan paid Xana for Domino's on the 12th. That makes Jeff's story about the pizza thing make sense. I'm just learn something new every day. But I want to know what you guys think this means, because I don't really know what it means. If they really did order pizza, did they really order DoorDash 3 hours later? Did they leave the house again after midnight and then come back around 1:45, the way that Bethany's alluding to in her interviews? Because they have no proof of anything in this case. They're going based off of, well, there's no camera footage that way, so even though we have no camera footage that way, it has to be that way. And instead of actually having concrete proof of anything being claimed in the PCA, they're going based off of Dylan and Bethany said so. That's basically the gist of it. I want to know what you guys think about this. Did you know about this? This video of Conspiracies has way less views than like any of her other videos. She usually gets quite a few views because she brings receipts to stuff. And this was also in the very beginning of the case. So it was really before it took off. But I'll have a link for it down in the description box like I always do. And I'll also have a link down there for Heather's video where I got my interview clip from. But let me know what you guys are thinking about all of this. I saw this last night whenever I was putting together clips for a bigger video. There was just no way that my brain was going to let me sleep after coming across proof of pizza. But again, I want to know what you guys think about this down in the comments. It's interesting for sure. If you like the way that I present this information and give my opinion, please don't forget to leave a like on the way out. Subscribe to the channel if you are not subscribed already. And please don't forget to make sure that your notification bell is set to all so you don't miss any of my rants, reviews, reactions, updates, or deep dives. See y'all.